After more than 15 years of delays, India and Israel are now just 2 rounds away from a historic free trade agreement which could be sealed within the next few months. Israel brings the high-tech, India brings the scale. Basically, this is the economic version of a Jai Viru economic alliance. But why the sudden urgency? Israel's ambassador Reuven Azar calls it a manifestation of unprecedented Israeli interest in Indian economy, driven by the rise of India as a global power. So why is Israel betting big on India's global rise? Is India now one of the world's most important markets? And the answer goes far beyond tariffs, AI, semiconductors, cybersecurity, defense, investment, and India's potential rise to become the world's third largest economy. All this before 2030. Now Israel wants a front row seat. Israeli ambassador to India Reuven Azar revealed, "We expect to have 2 more rounds, one in October and probably the last one by February. And I think that by then we will know exactly where we stand." Speaking to news agency IANS, Azar revealed that the second round of talks were held successfully just last month. He admitted the road ahead isn't smooth since Israel lacks the trade leverage due to its low tariffs and small country size. Bridging the gap in market access, he says, could be challenging, but the focus would be on reciprocal buying. According to Azar, the greatest potential, I think, lies in high-tech cooperation. All this comes after Karnataka held a cybersecurity dialogue with Israel under the theme Stronger Together, Secure Tomorrow. Senior officials from the government of Karnataka met an Israeli delegation that included 10 Israeli cybersecurity companies alongside representatives from India's cybersecurity, tech and startup ecosystems. Orly Weitzman, Consul General of Israel to South India, stated, "When Israeli technology and experience meets India's extraordinary talent, scale and technological capabilities, the potential impact goes far beyond our 2 countries. The FTA will establish streamlined rules for customs, intellectual property and sanitary standards. It is expected to expand market access beyond gems, jewelry and defense systems. Right now, India imports rough diamonds and precious stones from Israel. Indian factories cut, polish and craft them into finished jewelry. Roughly 9 out of every 10 diamonds sold globally are cut and polished in India." A source was quoted in media saying, "The request list for market access has been exchanged. Israel has sought market access in various products and discussions are on with Indian industry on the possible offers India can make. It is important to protect the interests of the domestic economy, so the inputs are crucial." The FTA will further drive deep collaboration in high-tech sectors, focusing heavily on semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. In FY 25-26, trade ties between India and Israel stood at $3.93 billion. India's primary exports to Israel span several major sectors, led heavily by precious stones, petroleum products, engineering and electronic goods, chemicals, and defense-related components. It is important to note that India-Israel FTA talks were first launched way back in 2010, but it was stalled due to market access, regulatory hurdles, and economic disparities. The formal FTA negotiations were relaunched just in November 2025 in Tel Aviv, where India and Israel signed the terms of reference, setting the framework for fresh negotiations ahead. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal stated that the FTA opens the doors to greater market access, flow of capital, investments and trade, and both in goods and services. Round 1 happened in New Delhi in February 2026. Both countries exchanged their first market access offers. Round 2 soon followed, once again in New Delhi in July 2026 or last month. While the FTA talks go along, the real economic action between India and Israel is happening on the defense stage, and it's happening fast. India and Israel have agreed to arms deals worth a staggering $8.6 billion in 2026 alone. That's more than Pakistan's entire defense budget of 2024. India already buys 34% of all Israeli arms exports. Every third Israeli weapon exported anywhere is bought by India. The total defense trade hit $20.5 billion between 2020 and 2024. Now Israel wants to manufacture its iconic Iron Dome air defense system in India, and this draws on an already existing defense manufacturing ecosystem. India and Israel jointly manufacture the Barak 8 air defense system, Drishti 10 Starliner drones, Negev light machine guns, Tavor rifles, Spike anti-tank guided missiles, and aircraft radar electronics. In 2025, Israel's largest ever business delegation of over 100 CEOs across cybersecurity, healthcare, energy, and high-tech arrived in India, led by Economy Minister Nir Barkat. India's DRDO and Israel's DDR&D signed an agreement to jointly develop next-gen defense technologies. Focus now is on quantum technologies as well as semiconductors. Furthermore, rupee trade settlement via SBI and new bilateral investment treaty. The main purpose of this treaty is to protect and encourage cross-border private investment between India and Israel. India-Israel Bilateral Investment Agreement came into effect in July this year. India-Israel ties are driven by long-standing friendship between Prime Minister Modi and PM Netanyahu. In 2017, Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first ever Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel officially, sparking a new chapter in bilateral ties. This was followed by Netanyahu's visit to India in 2017 and then again by Prime Minister Modi's revisit to Israel earlier this year in 2026. During the historic 2017 visit, 7 MOUs were signed on innovation, water, agriculture, and space, plus a $40 million joint R&D fund called the I4F. Israeli firms have quietly built a real footprint in India's agri-tech and water sectors for years now. Netafim has empowered 1.2 million Indian farmers with micro-irrigation, while IDE Technologies builds massive desalination plants like the one in Jamnagar, Gujarat. WaterGen generates clean drinking water from air humidity, and Teva Pharmaceuticals operates major domestic medicine manufacturing and R&D facilities. The free trade agreement does not exist in a vacuum. It's happening while India is having its own economic moment. India's GDP growth for FY 25-26 stood at 7.6%, driven by a blockbuster 8.2% growth in the third quarter. India's 2026 growth is projected at an impressive 6.5%, especially considering the never-ending US-Iran war in West Asia and global economic and oil disruptions. India is on track to become the world's third biggest economy as soon as 2030, only behind the United States and China. As one official press note framed it, this momentum is powered by decisive governance, visionary reforms, and active global engagement. As Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated, India has gone from strength to strength. Today, as the world's largest democracy and fastest growing major economy, India fills us with an awe at the scale of its achievements. United Nations also projects the Indian economy to grow at 6.6% despite global disruptions. Chris Garroway, the UN economist for India, stated, India remains the bright spot in a challenging global economy. But what do you believe? Has Israel emerged as one of India's most trusted allies? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.